Axios, 29th of March 2023, China employs false bomb threats to intimidate critics of the country. Axios has learned that more than a dozen fictitious bomb threats have been made at upscale hotels and embassies in Europe, the United States, the Middle East, and East Asia. These threats appear part of a harassment campaign directed at 3 Chinese expats criticizing the Chinese government. Why the campaign's target, a journalist, and 2 campaigners must be sure that the Chinese government is behind the harassment. Beijing has long employed monitoring and intimidation to stifle dissenters abroad. Still, observers worry that Beijing's efforts to persecute its detractors outside its borders are getting brazen. Yana Gorokhovskaia, a transnational repression specialist at Freedom House, told Axios that China operates pretty freely in democratic states when it comes to suppressing opponents abroad. They use a variety of strategies, and when one system is no longer effective, they get very inventive about how to harass and target people in different ways, sometimes using radical or extreme techniques, she noted. For instance, Chinese Communist Party leaders have occasionally used institutions of foreign governments to persecute Beijing's detractors. Requests for comment from the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs were not entertained. The Chinese embassy in Washington, D.C., claimed it was unaware of the happenings in the country and had no information to share. What's going on? Beginning in October 2022, unidentified culprits paid for and reserved many pricey rooms at 5-star hotels in at least 6 nations: the United States, the Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, Turkey, Hong Kong, and Macau in China. Without their knowledge, they exploited the private information of 2 activists, Wang Jingyu in the Netherlands and Bob Fu in the United States, and Radio Free Asia reporter Su Yutong, who is stationed in Germany. According to Su, Wang, and Fu's interviews with Axios and statements were given to Axios by police and hotel staff, the perpetrators then called in at least 14 false bomb threats to some of those hotels, posing as these people. This led to police investigations and even the brief detention of one of the activists. According to Wang and a Dutch police report seen by Axios, 2 other phony bomb threats were made in Wang's name against the Chinese embassies in the Netherlands and Norway. The Chinese embassy in Norway confirmed Wang's bomb threat in an email to Axios, who also received a statement from the embassy stating that after verification, "We believe this is a hoax by certain people which does not consist of a valid threat." A request for comment from the Chinese embassy in the Netherlands received no response. According to a Dutch news article, the bogus reports were likely generated from IP addresses in China and Hong Kong, according to Dutch police in The Hague. An inquiry for comment was not answered by Dutch law enforcement. According to interviews with Axios, Dutch press reports, and statements made to Axios by hotels and local law police, the threats are being investigated by law enforcement authorities in the United States, Germany, the Netherlands, Macau, and Hong Kong. According to the Chinese embassy in Norway, no one reported the fictitious threat to the police. The Chinese embassy in Germany did not answer an inquiry for comment regarding the Chinese government's bullying techniques. Background: the Chinese Communist Party has offended Su, Wang, and Fu for publicly criticizing and questioning Beijing's policies and conduct. Su was imprisoned in 2010 for disseminating a book that had been outlawed regarding former Chinese Premier Li Peng, who was responsible for the bloodshed in 1989 Tiananmen Square. She managed to leave China that year and fled to Germany, but she claims that the Chinese government and police have not stopped threatening her and her parents back in China. Pastor Fu is a charity organization called China Aid that supports Christians, Muslims, and other people of faith persecuted in China. Fu has been a resident of the United States for more than 25 years. Wang was detained by Emirati police in 2021 while traveling through Dubai due to statements he had made on Chinese social media condemning China's involvement in the China-India border dispute. He resides in the Netherlands without a treaty allowing for extradition to China. According to a Dutch police report seen by Axios and interviews with Wang, Wang was questioned by Dutch police on October 7 about reports of bomb threats throughout the Netherlands and in Belgium. According to Wang, Dutch investigators quickly concluded that he was not the source of the fictitious bomb threats. The Chinese embassy in the Netherlands received a fake bomb threat on October 15, 2022, according to Wang. Dutch police sealed off the main roads near the embassy in The Hague to search for explosives, but they later found none, according to a local news report. According to interviews and news reports, no bombs have been reported to have been discovered at the hotels or embassies. Zoom in. According to Fu, in February, The JW Marriott Essex House Hotel in New York and a hotel in Houston both called him regarding bomb threats they had received in his name. Fu then informed the FBI about the events. Fu told Axios that the issue is being investigated by police in Texas, New York, and Los Angeles, where another threat was made in his name. In an email, the FBI stated that it could not confirm or deny the existence of an investigation. A New York Marriott hotel manager told Axios that something similar happened earlier this year, but she would not go into greater detail. An email to Axios, a hotel representative, stated that they do not comment on police-related issues. Numerous attempts for comment regarding the threats made in Fu's name went unanswered by the NYPD. The LAPD declined to comment on a federal inquiry and informed Axios of this. A manager at the hotel verified to Axios that Su's name was used to book a room and subsequently to make a fictitious bomb threat at a posh hotel in Istanbul. After contacting Su directly, the hotel personnel realized it was a hoax bomb threat, according to the management. A Macau policeman confirmed to Axios that a hotel had received a bogus bomb threat made in Su's name, but he declined to comment further because the investigation was ongoing. Axios was sent to the local police by a Marriott regional communications director regarding a question concerning a hotel in Brussels, where Wang said a bogus bomb threat was made by a person who provided his name and contact information. A public relations representative for the Ritz-Carlton Berlin, wrote to Axios via email that although they had received a fake bomb threat, they could not disclose any further details, as the case is still with our local authorities. The U.S. State Department steered Axios to local law enforcement and declined to comment. Foreign meddling in any way is completely wrong. Every citizen in the Netherlands should feel safe and free from external regime intimidation. The Netherlands Ministry of Foreign Affairs stated to Axios that if there are any indications of unwelcome influence, we will bring this up very firmly in bilateral talks and take appropriate measures. The ministry is unable to comment on specific cases. According to Wang, Su, and Fu, who all spoke to Axios, this is a Chinese state-sponsored transnational repression campaign aimed at Wang because of his past comments and current activity, Su due to her coverage of Wang, and Fu due to his assistance. Su claimed that over several weeks, the culprits had also used Uber Eats to order thousands of dollars worth of food to be delivered to her house for cash on delivery. Additionally, she has been the target of false escort ads that have attracted men to her home. Su told Radio Free Asia that almost every day, various persons would ring her doorbell. They claimed to be there in search of sex with an Asian woman. Su, who claimed to have supported German law enforcement with their investigation into the harassment, moved to an unidentified residence after being asked to do so by authorities. What they're saying, according to Su, who spoke to Axios, we left China in the promise of freedom from fear in the democratic countries. The fact that these strategies are applied with the same sleaze in Germany, the United States, and other democracies as they are in China astounds me. Democracies occasionally overlook crimes reported by victims as typical examples of harassment and threats. Su hoped that one day, democracies would connect these incidents to the CCP's international persecution. According to Fu, this strategy indicates unequivocally how the CCP is reorienting its global suppression of dissidents like myself. According to Fu, who assisted Wang in escaping Ukraine and arriving safely in the Netherlands, the Chinese government punishes Wang because they want to make him feel more vulnerable and to restrict his travel because he constantly accepts media interviews. Fu thinks that's why he's being hunted down. Between the lines, according to Gorokhovskaia, the methods employed against Wang, Su, and Fu are consistent with cooptation, a type of transnational repression in which the offender takes advantage of the local law enforcement to silence the victims or makes their lives as challenging as possible. According to Freedom House data, China is the most prolific perpetrator of transnational repression, both in terms of the sheer number of groups and people it targets, as well as the number of different types of tactics, Gorokhovskaia said. What to see? Under the Trump and Biden administrations, the Justice Department has focused on opposing China's global persecution. In a precedent-setting decision that may make it challenging for European nations to deport anyone back to China, the European Court of Human Rights barred a man's extradition to China late last year. To establish a new U.S. policy to hold foreign governments and individuals accountable when they stalk, intimidate, or assault people across borders, including in the United States, a bipartisan bill was submitted to the U.S. Congress earlier this month.